Shabbat Shalom, you guys. It is Friday night. We're here for our weekend reflection message, and it is very on theme for everything happening in the world right now, and it is just right on the nose. So, I'm just getting right into it. We have from the not from the wild unknown, but from the Radiant Sun Oracle, we've got the Sun in Cancer, which is resourcefulness. We have Mercury in Pisces, which is inspiration. And again, we've got Saturn in Leo, which is generosity. Under resourcefulness, we've got the King of Swords, which in this deck, it is a female King of Swords. We have, under inspiration, we've got the Emperor. And under generosity, we've got Queen of Pentacles reverse. So clearly this is commenting on everything going on right now in LA, and with the fires, and generally speaking with all the suffering going on in the world right now. You know, when it hits close to home, it hits you on another emotional level that sometimes things that happen across the world don't quite sink in, but in a way they do. But it's really moving to see all of these groups and troops of firefighters coming in from countries from all over the world, from Mexico and Africa, coming to help put out the fires. So it's very inspirational. So right now, with the resourcefulness here, the Sun in Cancer, it's like there's so many people that have worked so hard to build their homes and to build companies and legacies and lives and memories in Los Angeles. You know, there's a lot of darkness and corruption there, but there's also a lot of really good, earnest people. You know, I realize so many of my mentors and coaches and spiritual teachers live in LA and around LA and have been affected by these fires. And so, you know, it's just heartbreaking to watch people lose everything that they've built and everything that they've known as home. And so that's what we see right here with this crow or this raven, which is often associated with the Morgan, which is, you know, a bringer. It's one of the dark feminine archetypes of death and destruction, but also magic and protection and rebirth. We have this vessel here, which is a symbol of the womb. The womb is a protective home for the baby, right? And so in the cosmos, like, the protective womb is the universe, and we are God's children within the womb of the cosmos. And so right now, there's literally how many mothers in LA right now out of their mind with grief and worry about the fact that they've just had their home suddenly ripped away from them and everything that they know. Now they're having to sift through the rubble and find anything that's left, if they can get to their own rubble, which the National Guard has come in to watch out for people's property and to prevent looting and things like that. So for now, this is, you know, a welcome, comforting sign. Although, you know, sometimes it does feel, you know, weird when you see the military like around the city, but this is good, right? We see this, it's triggering, but it's a good thing right now. So there are all these people trying to figure out what they're going to do now, right? The insurance companies have just recently, unusually enough, canceled people's wildfire insurance just before this incident. So our first thought is, well, hopefully they're insured, but it doesn't matter because they were insured, and it didn't matter that they did the right thing and covered their own bases. They've now had this rug ripped out right from under them. And so this is yet another piece of this corruption boiling to the surface, to be seen. Like, look at all of that's happened even after the Pluto left Capricorn and moved into Aquarius. We're seeing all of this corruption around insurance being highlighted. First with the medical insurance issue that's been going on, and now with the fire insurance. So, it's very it's devastating for people that have spent so many years and their blood, sweat, and tears building a nest and an egg and a nest egg, only to have it ripped out from under them, even though they did the right thing. So people are scrambling to make do and gather what resources they have right now. So it's really important and really helpful for all the people. The internet is so helpful in certain ways. We can help share resources with people by putting up carousels. If if you have resource lists, or you can share the ones that you're seeing. But that's been really helpful for people, as well as sharing literally people's resources. Like, I've seen stories where, wealthy people of means in LA are buying off blocks of hotel rooms and having people in need reach out and claim those rooms if they need them. So, it's interesting that this moment, although it is so dark and so chaotic and so destructive, it's also revealing this radiant light. And we learn in Kabbalah that where there is the most darkness, there's the most potential for light to be revealed. Also, vice versa, where there is the most light, there's always also potential for the most darkness to either try to ruin that thing, or stop that thing, or thwart that thing, right? So we have this chaotic destruction breaking out, but yet there is this awakening of this light within the civilians and humanity within the city. People are doing, selfless acts of sharing and being courageous and putting themselves in harm's way to try to save each other and each other's animals and homes and all of it. And so it's really, really inspiring to see. And the thing is, what we're learning right now is that we can't sit back and rely on traditional leadership to step up quick enough. It is faster for people at a ground roots level at this point to help each other, because bureaucracy and red tape is so slow. And so those traditional institutions of leadership usually are the last ones to show up at the crisis. So we've learned in society that we can't look outside of ourselves for authority to help us. We have to take authority and sovereignty within ourselves to show up for our community and to be supportive and helpful and do what we can to help each other out, which also provides, it's like doing acts of sharing and acts of self-sacrifice like that for the sake of the good of all, and acts of love towards others. That actually provides protection and grace and favor around you. So it is actually an act of self-preservation as much as it is anything, to help each other. So the people are getting out there. Small business owners are going to feed the firemen and the people who are displaced. People are pitching in. People are using the resources that they have to help try to fight the fires, to help others get their wherewithal and get a game plan. We can't wait for like I said, the organized traditional leadership to do it for us. They're slow to get there. They're slow to arrive, and they're usually come up a day late and $1 short anyway. So we need to do what we can to be leaders, spiritual leaders within our community to help facilitate and navigate the situation. The King of Swords here represents authority, and right now we have like the Emperor sitting here next to the Queen. He's kind of looking at her, and it feels like, okay, so like there's the feminine mayor of California. I feel like the president is like watching all this happen, and we are getting federal, like the Biden administration is promising federal aid, I think for 180 days. He said he was going to cover 100% of the cost of like the fire relief funds and things, but we are moving into a new administration. So, I mean, have we ever seen anything happen quickly and smoothly, you know, in Washington? Not really, not usually. So we'll see how that goes. So in the meantime, it's like, don't lose momentum. Stay on top. If you're the ones affected, like stay on top of like keeping a game plan and staying motivated, because it can become very overwhelming and very disheartening. But yes, this is time for the community to come together and be a support and a network for one another. One of the things that creates this power of protection that God has granted human beings the ability to generate is unity, being in unity with one another. The Torah portion today talked about the significance of a minyan of 10 people praying together in unison and in agreement. And so that unity actually magnifies the power of our prayers in order for them to pierce the veils of the upper realms. Otherwise, our individual prayers are sort of as powerful as our cosmic scale will merit them to be, right? It's like, is this a righteous soul? Like, what are their merits, deeds, and acts? So, you know, more righteous the person is, the more powerful their prayers are. But when you pray in groups, the upper realms don't take into account your personal merit. That bypasses that. So even lesser righteous people, when they pray in groups, their prayers can skip the line essentially, or even get even further than, say, just one righteous person alone. So our collective prayers, our collective soul, our unity to be able to have discussions and disagreements without malice, without turning against one another. We can disagree and have the debates and discussions and arguments that need to be had whilst still staying unified and in respect and peace and acceptance and dignity within humanity, instead of continuing to allow these disturbances to keep driving us apart and putting us against one another, which is obviously, regardless of whether there's a conscious group that wants this, the opponent definitely wants this. So staying in union, staying in unity. My candles are flickering, so they're like, ooh, they're buzzing. Also declaring the goodness and greatness of the Creator out loud with your mouth, like saying prayers to Jesus out loud with your mouth, calling in the help and guidance of the Holy Spirit out loud with your mouth. These things actually activate this power and this protection around you. This is that presence of God, that protective light that is in, like, it's sort of projected through the strength and power of your soul. And so it's coming from your inner light that's radiating out of you, and the surrounding light around you. So Declaring God's greatness and goodness, something that King David did, that is very protective. What else did we say? Acts of sharing and selflessness and kindness and courage and sacrificing the self for the sake of others. That is protective and powerful. Unity over conflict and strife. Also going in groups instead of individually walking around by yourself. If you can stay in groups of at least 2, if not 3. That yesterday's Torah portion mentioned that if you are in a group of 3, that an evil entity will not set upon you. And even though we are looking at what seems like a material situation, I feel that this is a situation of like supernatural magnitude. And although we are playing it out in the human stage, there are other energies and entities involved, and especially the fact that like everything in LA that housed so many dark secrets has just been burned, and that physical material that held all of that energy is now gone. So it's just like, it feels like things could be just out in the air. Like, think about, like, was it Ghostbusters 2 when like the ghost tank like shut down because of the power outages, and then like all the ghosts were everywhere? That is kind of like the sense that I get, you know, about like something like this happening on that kind of scale. So just be advised, keep yourself spiritually protected as well. So also we have Mercury in Leo right now, and Pisces. So this depicts this like kind of muse of inspiration and warmth, visiting a darkened house that has experienced loss. This is literally what is described in the book, which is it's so like synchronistic, it's crazy. So we need to be really compassionate right now and generous of spirit with all the people that have just gone through so much loss, and people who are in shock and overwhelmed and confused and don't know what to do, don't know how to navigate the situation. Like, people from the outside who aren't in it maybe have a more calm and grounded nervous system, and it can help people who are in the midst of terror at this moment. So, you know, holding that frequency of peace, and then trying to provide comfort and support to the people who need it right now. That is very important. Like I said, here we have the Emperor. So this is about, again, stepping up and looking at your resources. How can you direct your talents and resources to be of help in the world right now? So many people need things everywhere. And so the more that we can generate that positive spiritual energy, even in our own communities, even if it has nothing to do with LA, it's like it's adding to this collective power and light and goodness in the whole world. We're all connected, and we're all interconnected at a soul level. So we need to start understanding that we have to be prepared when we navigate our lives for the fact that like things like this can happen, and we have to be ready to be able to stay grounded and calm enough inside to hear that inner intuition and that direction, and be able to follow that. For a specific and weird example, when it comes to electric cars, I think that in theory, like, they're a good idea, and they help us solve the fossil fuel problem. However, I have never trusted electric cars, because what happens, I mean, I know like cars can run out of gas, but like in the event of an emergency like this, for the most part, you can start a car as long as it has gas. And if it doesn't have gas, you can go grab gas from somewhere, siphon gas, you know. But so many people, so many of the cars that were left on the road, like what if the power goes out, you can't recharge your car. And those batteries are weird and funky and do weird things. And sometimes they can be kind of scary. And so a lot of the cars, like I just instinctually have never really wanted to invest in an electric car because I don't trust them in an apocalyptic situation, honestly. And I know that makes me that eccentric, paranoid person. However, I've been watching, footage on the news, and they've been literally pointing out the fact that most of the, so many of the cars in the road that are stalled and left behind have been Teslas that people couldn't start, or electric cars that wouldn't work. So it's like, don't second guess these instincts that you have, because right now we're living in these crazy times where you could be being given a weird, compulsion to do something or not to do something that could maybe save your life or could make the difference of being stuck in a power outage and not being able to get away from an emergency situation. So, really taking conscious authority over the areas of your life and being able to navigate and be a leader if times get challenging, if times are uncertain. And the way that we do that is that we find our peace and our trust in God and the Creator. We can't look to our leaders. No one, everyone's corrupt. Everyone is being controlled by somebody. No one has that much power, so it's just if you keep looking outside of yourself, you're going to continue to be disappointed. But if you learn to make that connection from inside to God, to the Holy Spirit, to Jesus, then you can get that guidance and feel that peace and feel like you are protected in times like this, where everything is weird and uncertain and crazy and you don't have any answers. That's really the only comfort that you can seek that is not an illusion, honestly. And it's the one that seems like it's the most ethereal and the most elusive, but it's really the most solid thing you can put your confidence and your faith in. But sharing compassion and kindness with others right now is a very important part of being a spiritual leader, and taking a position of sovereignty and authority is going to come from your influence is going to be more impactful if you are coming at any given situation from the consciousness of compassion and mercy and building and protecting and providing for, and having empathy and sympathy for all of the people who are suffering right now. And finally, we have the generosity card right here. This is Saturn with Leo. We had this last week. This is the prophet looking down on the apostle being inspired and sharing the message of the sage or the teacher that he had, studied from or through or under. And so it's like getting divine inspiration from your, a spiritual authority or source, right? So it's like, think of the sages like Moses and Abraham and or Melchizedek even. Or connecting to Jesus, right? Jesus's teachings, and then sharing those, and you're being inspired. It's like when Jesus sent out his disciples, he gave them the authority to channel these sermons and to actually work these miracles and do these supernatural things in his name and on his behalf to share this message with people. So right now, so many have this Queen of Pentacles is like representative by like of all these women and mothers and fathers who have just their whole world has been turned upside down and they've lost everything. And so they're worried about their children and their families and their household and what they're going to do and how this is going to affect them. And if, you know, they can rebuild or if they have to, you know, start over somewhere else and give everything up. And I mean, we're clearly being asked to let go of, you know, the old right now, the what we thought we knew was, and it's sometimes it's so jolting when it happens. I mean, when we had our tornadoes here a couple of years ago, it was just devastating to lose so many of the places that your heart is just so invested in. And this is your home, it's your community, and it's just heartbreaking. And it's never quite the same. But you know what, though? Sometimes it gets built back even more beautiful and even better than before. And so it is heartbreaking, but there will be light on the other side of this eventually. In the meantime, you know, share what you can with other people who need help. If you can help, you know, the differently abled and the shut-ins and the older people and people who really desperately need help, that's a really good thing. If you are, you know, sitting in a situation where you have these, you know, special resources right now, you'll be blessed if you share and help others through the situation, doing whatever you can. Using your special gifts and resources to help guide people, to help comfort people, to help give people shelter or medical supplies and things that they might need, or just any kind of resources and supplies and food and shelter. But sharing right now is going to be incredibly powerful to help the Queens of Pentacles turn their life back around, because this is going to be a long and frustrating process. Because even, you know, if in the best situation you got like insurance to cover things, it takes a while to get that ball rolling and to rebuild or to find another place or to figure it out. So I don't know, you might consider long-term, short-term leases and just bite the bullet and like realize that nothing's gonna happen super fast. So maybe if you can find something that's gonna be like a 6-month thing or like a long-term, short-term stay place, that might be the most economical and like stable approach to give you stability while you like get your bearings, get a plan to rebuild. All right, y'all, ciao.